Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Strandhammar and I work at Brick Strategy, a consultancy company specialized in modularization and product strategies. We are very grateful for TECHNIA arranging this event and giving us the opportunity to being here today with our favorite subject, which is modularization, and inspire on how that can improve and accelerate your business. Today at breakfast, my son asked about my plans for today. I told him that I'm going to give a presentation in front of different people from different companies and countries. My son's immediate reaction to that was, "But Dad, why are they going to listen to you?" Besides my son's ironic question and skeptical face, I think the question is brilliant. So why are you going to listen to me, and why is this subject so important? Let us take it as an anecdote. Imagine that you're working at a truck manufacturer that is going to develop your first product. The project team starts from a clean sheet of paper, developing the product based on the technology chosen by the project team. The product is documented in the PLM system. The year after, another project team is assembled to design the second product, which is slightly different from the first one. This time, it's urgent to get the product out on the market. The reuse from the first product is quite low, as the searchability in your PLM system is not the best. Therefore, the new product is slightly different and is based on slightly different technology. The year after that, a third team is assigned to develop a third product. They start from a clean sheet of paper once again, and the story goes on and on and on. This is what we would define as product development in silos. What is then the result of working in silos? We realize that the company has built up lots of complexity, resulting in low level of synergies and poor structure of product data in the system. This is unfortunately the painful situation at many companies that we meet today. At the same time, the same companies, they need to be faster and more flexible in configuring products to fulfill individual customer needs. Also, companies need to increase automation and take the next step in the digitalization of their production system. This puts even more focus on reducing complexity and bring structure to the product data in the PLM systems. We really believe that modularization solves the core of the problem. Modularization reduces complexity and brings structure to your product. This is the foundation for structuring product data, which is necessary to succeed with future challenges such as configuration and digitalization of the manufacturing system. Today, I will show you how modularization can help your company managing these challenges. This is the reason why we believe this subject is so important. So make yourself comfortable and listen in. But first of all, I would like to introduce myself and Brick Strategy shortly. So, what is my background then? I encountered modularization more than 20 years ago during my master thesis at Electrolux, the global white goods manufacturer. The topic was modularization of refrigerators, which was a quite challenging task back then. The reason for that is that there was no method or process available, and the experience and knowledge within the company was quite limited back then. After Electrolux, I joined Scania, the company that invented modularization, similar to Toyota inventing lean. At Scania, I was part of the development of a new generation of modular trucks. I soon realized the benefits of modularization, such as reuse from one model to the next, as well as the reuse between different variants. I also learned how standardized interfaces enable configuration and tailoring to individual customer needs, as well as how easy it is to upgrade the products within current interfaces. I also learned the importance of structuring data in your PLM systems. After Scania, I have worked as a consultant for more than 50 years, supporting industrial clients in implementing modularization. So let us now present Brick Strategy. Brick Strategy is a management consultancy company specialized in modularization and product strategies. We are a young company. However, our team has practical experience within the field since 1998, and we have collectively executed over 50 projects at leading industrial companies all over the globe. Brick Strategy is based in Stockholm, Sweden. The main inspiration for our modularization approach comes from Scania, and we have gained lots of experience from working with different clients in different industries. We have, for example, worked with high-volume multi-brand companies in consumer products, such as furniture, white goods, and electrical cars, as well as with low-volume products, such as wind turbines and process equipment. This very broad experience means that we are used to tailor our work to the specific needs of each industry and client company. Let us take a look at our service offer. The core of our service offer is modularization. However, to succeed with modularization, we know that the modularization needs to be prepared, and that preparation focuses on defining a product strategy and a roadmap. The strategy part includes market segmentation, understanding which customers to focus on, and which customer values those customers perceive as most important. The product roadmap part is about creating a long-term plan for product development from a strategic perspective. We can support our clients with this if it's not already in place before starting the actual modularization. Then, modularization enables a lot of benefits, and to make sure that those benefits are sustained over time, we can support our clients in setting up a governance structure. This means often adjusting existing roles, processes, decision forums, as well as documentation of the product with focus on PLM. This was the very short company introduction, so let us now continue with the actual presentation. First, how do we look at modularization and what is it? You probably remember the silo approach to product development that I described initially. The result of the silo approach is products based on individual technology, having unique product layouts and structures. Each of them might having a different value chain setup. This means often that the products are sold, produced, transported, installed, and serviced differently. Clearly, not many synergies and efficiencies can be gained in this case, and this is independently of how much the company invests in lean manufacturing, robots, IT systems, etc. The reason for that is that the core of the problem, the actual products, is not prepared for it. The opposite to the silo approach is when a company takes a holistic approach to product development, and this is modularization. The result of modularization is a range of modular products with shared components based on common technology and standardized interfaces. Modular products, they are often sold the same way, they can be produced in a common production system, and they are transported, installed, and serviced the same way. Now we can start talking about real synergies. This is the result of modularization, which enables reduced lead times and costs throughout the entire company. So, what modularization benefits are we talking about? Independently of if we are looking at low volume or high volume products, we have seen similar type of benefits in both types. Modularization increases commonality, and part numbers can be reduced by 30 to 75% without actually limiting the offer towards the market. Time to market can be reduced by 30 to 60% and product cost by 3 to 20%. These figures are of course indicative. The large spread in terms of cost reduction of course depends on where the company is today in terms of modularization, and the benefit potential is based on that. Different products of course also behave differently. If we, for example, make a cost breakdown of a wind turbine and compare that with a cost breakdown of a refrigerator, we will soon realize that the wind turbine consists of a much larger percentage of raw material in relation to the total product cost. As it is more or less impossible to impact the amount of raw material in the product, we will soon realize that the cost reduction potential percentage-wise is much lower for the wind turbine products. The transformation from a silo way of working to the modular way of working does of course not take place overnight. So let us look at the transformation journey enabling those modularization benefits. As modularization is a long-term initiative, we know by experience the importance of having targets and an agreed business case in place before starting the actual journey. As we learned earlier, a product strategy and roadmap are also necessary preparation for success. This preparation takes place in the pre-study phase that you see in front of you. In the concept phase, the modular architecture including modules and interfaces are defined based on requirements from market and the value chain. I will show you how this is done on the next slide. The implementation phase includes interface management to make sure that all module variants on both sides of an interface are compatible with each other. The space claim part is about making sure that all options and variants fit into the product without design changes. It is also about making sure that there is space reserved for future planned upgrades. This phase also includes building an improved value chain as well as setting up product configuration. To secure a sustainable result over time, it is important to do some adjustment during the governance phase. I am then talking about roles and responsibilities. It could also be processes and the way of documenting your products in the PLM system. The core part of this slide and about modularization is how to define the modular architecture. So let us therefore have a closer look at our approach to that. So, how is the modular architecture defined? Over the years, we have developed our own hands-on approach to define a modular architecture. It consists of 6 steps and it is done before detailed design. You can see it as a front-loading of the product release projects by taking a holistic approach to the entire product range. The starting point in step number 1 is to define the requirements that varies between customer segments and geographical markets. This means identifying the market and legal requirement that will drive variation in our products. Examples in the truck business could be, for example, different load carrying capacities and driving distances. In this step, it is also important to figure out how the requirements will change over time. One good example in the automotive industry is the allowed emission levels that gets tougher and tougher over time. The second step in the approach is about understanding how these requirements defined in step number 1 impact the components in the product. For example, the truck driving distance will affect the fuel tank size, and the cab, as a very long driving distance, will require space for a bed for the driver. Our approach in step number 2 is a very structured way to avoid unnecessary variance in the end. In the third step, we are selecting what technology to use for the entire range, and our ambition here is to choose one common technology as far as possible. In this step, it is important to not only focus at the purchasing cost, but rather have a total value chain cost perspective in mind. This means also that the cross-functional team needs to be involved. We are defining the modules and variants in step number 4 and also laying out the roadmap for module development. Step number 5 is about standardizing interfaces to enable configuration, meaning that, for example, all gearboxes and engine should be compatible with each other. It is also about preparing the interfaces for future upgrades. The last step number 6, is about documenting the product in the PLM and design guidelines to be used during the detailed design phase and product release projects. Let us now have a look at how modularization enables Scania to configure different cab variants based on individual customer needs. On the horizontal center line in this picture, you can see how the module variants are used for a cab with maximized load capacity. Let us also take a look at how to configure a cab for day trips and where the customer needs to transport overhead loads. As you see, just 2 module variants need to be replaced. The next customer in line wants a cab still used for day trips, but this time the customer does not have the need to transport overhead goods and prefer resting equipment instead. This means that only the roof needs to change. The next customer in line wants a cab for longer trips with normal sleeping comfort. It is also possible to configure a cab for longer trips with premium comfort, meaning both a higher and longer cab. As you have seen, modularization and standardized interfaces enables products to be tailored to individual needs with as few unique components as possible. Modularization also brings other benefits to the customer. Let us take an example with the windshield that is common for all cabs in this example. Imagine that you are driving your Scania truck in the middle of Australia and your windshield gets hit by a small stone and cracks. The probability in this case is quite high that the nearest workshop has your windshield on stock, as there is only one variant to be kept on stock. On the other hand, if exactly the same thing would have happened if you were driving a Mercedes or a Volvo, the probability that your windshield was on stock is much lower, as they do not have the same type of commonality. I will now show you another video clip that is a great example of how my former employer Scania does configuration in practice based on their modularization. As we just saw, modularization enables efficient tailoring of products in the configurator. But how does modularization support Industry 4 then? Even though the products are tailored, they are based on modules with standardized interfaces. In modularization, all module variants have a uniform design and are standardized as far as possible without actually limiting the offer towards the market. The benefits in production is that all variants can use the same fixtures, tools, and manufacturing setup. The factory investment in this case becomes much lower and automation becomes easier. Of course, not all companies have the same volumes as the automotive industry, but however, low volume industry will also benefit from a uniform design when they do manual assembly. Clearly, modularization has a very positive impact on configuration in Industry 4.0. It is also clear that configuration in Industry 4.0 requires structure and uniform product data, and that modularization is one good way to enable that. Companies that continue developing products in silos will have difficulties in managing complexity and creating structure and uniform product data. As I mentioned in the beginning, Brick Strategy believe that modularization solves the core of the problem by structuring the product, which we believe is the basis for structured product data to succeed with configuration and digitalization of the manufacturing system in the future. I have now shared some inspiration of how modularization can help your company accelerate your business and increase competitiveness. Today, I was standing here talking to you through the camera. Next time, I hope I will get the opportunity to meet you and your colleagues face to face, either via Teams or in person. To make that happen, do not hesitate to already now visit our virtual stand or email us to establish a contact. Thanks for listening and have a great day.